Welcome to another edition of the Wrestling Retrospective podcast. I'm your host, Earnest EJ Christian, coming to you. Recording this actually on a rare Friday night here. Of course, with my guys here. If you get this thing off the screen, we got once again 2/3 of the Mindless Wrestling podcast. We got DJ Minter in the middle. We got Rob the Genius in on the right hand side of the screen. Fellas, happy Friday! How you guys doing?
Good to be here.
Rob, go ahead.
Yeah, good to be here and just happy for the weekend.
Yeah, well, happy for you. I still got to work tomorrow. Although tomorrow's gonna be a short day. I'm going to a concert tomorrow. I'm going to see Deftones for the first time. Another bucket list scratch for me. Looking forward to that. I love live shows, man. I really do.
Yeah, live shows are a lot of fun, man. And I got to let you know, I gave you a little bit of a funny shout out on the Mindless Wrestling podcast last night.
Oh, nice!
You've been doing a lot of work. I try to put over these appearances that Rob and I do with you to try and get a little traction for you and just kind of get our stuff out there. But I told Rob and Jason, I said, I kind of feel like, because Rob's been doing a lot of stuff with you, I said, I kind of feel like EJ's starting to poach my talent here a little bit. And I said, he's turning into EJ Crockett over here. And I feel like Vern Gagne.
That's funny. No, man, just having a good time, man. It's Rob likes doing this all the time. So I just hey, come on down. I don't care,
Yeah.
It's all free here. It's all good, man. It's all good. Anyway, today, so it's funny. So Rob and I actually did the WrestleMania 6 main event last week, Hogan Warrior. And I realized that was a bad idea to do the show because it is WrestleMania season, and obviously the anniversary of that match is this year. But and we did Royal Rumble actually with you about 3 weeks to a month ago, right?
Yes.
We skipped over a kind of a big event in between those two shows, which is this show we're going to do tonight, the main event. From 1990 in February 1990, and I'm like, why did I think about covering that first before going to WrestleMania and going in order? So I want to go back to it because it is a big event. It is a big event, especially that took place on February 23rd, 1990, at the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, Michigan. The live broadcast, which is, by the way, the main event live, drew a 12.8 rating and 20.9 million viewers. Okay.
Wow.
For the record. And by the way, this is on the downturn for WWE at this point now, because the main event 2 years prior, Hogan Andre 2, Part 2, drew 33 million people. Okay.
Yeah.
The very next year, Mega Power Explode, that drew a little less, maybe about 29, 30. Still a lot, but a little less than the first one. This one, 20.9. Can you even fathom having 20 million viewers watching wrestling on a Friday night?
Yeah.
Today?
And I think in this case, I think everybody, because this nobody thought there was any chance of him losing here. So this was just kind of a foregone conclusion kind of situation here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, we always beat this over the head. Back then, there was no other way to consume it. Do I believe that 29 million people watch WWE currently? Yes, but they don't do it all in one lump sum. Correct. It's scattered out over days, over social media, over streaming platforms. Whereas in 1990, we didn't have any of that. If you wanted to watch it, you had to watch it in real time.
Yeah, absolutely. Either you watch it, you miss it. Oh, if you got a VCR, record the bitch.
That's it. And VCRs were rich people things. I
always ask February 23rd, 1990. What the hell are you guys doing?
1990. February 1990. I was 15. So
I was a junior in high school.
Jesus, I'm old. God, I feel young actually. Well, now to you guys.
I was about to say, you feel old.
Yeah.
You right. Motherfucker, I was getting ready to graduate.
Yeah, I was a sophomore.
So I was not. Yeah, I was 9 turning 10 actually that year. I was 9. I turned 10 in May that year. So yeah. But this is actually a big day for me because February 23rd, 1990 is my brother's birthday. My third youngest brother. Not only is his birthday, he was literally born on this day.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
This day. So I watched this show live because again, here's what happened. I got to set up for you guys. So 9-year-old EJ going to 10. I was banned from watching wrestling. However, my mother was in labor, so she was away from the house. So she had someone watch us, of course. I can't remember who it was that watched us. It might have been like a good friend of the family, whatever. Watch me, my brother, and they didn't know I was banned from wrestling. They didn't know that. So I was allowed. I ended up watching this show live without a problem. While mom was away having my brother. So yes, I watched the show live. So I mean, but yeah, this show we're only going to do 2 matches. Well, they only broadcasted 2 matches. Was obviously Hogan and Savage, Macho King Savage, and then Warrior and Dino Bravo actually. But there were apparently 8 matches on this card, or 9 matches on this card. I'll run through real quick for you guys. We had Earthquake defeat Ronnie Garvin. We had Dusty Rhodes with Sapphire in his corner to defeat Mr. Perfect. That's a strange one because Perfect was red hot at the time. Ted DiBiase with Virgil defeated Jake Roberts. We had a colossal connection of Andre Giant Haku defeat Demolition Access match. Of course, they'll meet up in WrestleMania about a month and some odd days later for the tag titles. Bad News Brown defeated Tito Santana. Rick Martel defeated Brutus Beefcake. In a lumberjack match, Roddy Piper and Rick Rude end up in the double DQ. Now, by the way, this is a red hot feud also too. Piper and Rude. Of course, you have, like I said, Hogan and Savage, and then Warrior and Dino Bravo. Of course, this is also the setup for Hogan and Warrior's matchup, which will take place 5 weeks later in Toronto.
How the hell are you going to have a DQ in a lumberjack match?
Yeah.
Well, it's Roddy Piper.
How the hell did that happen?
I hope actually I can find this card somewhere down the road on the internet somewhere. It'd be nice. Another big thing also too was that Mike Tyson was supposed to be the special guest referee for the Savage Hogan match. However, this changed because Mike Tyson lost to Buster Douglas just a week and a half earlier in Japan. So Tyson decided not to do the show anymore. Buster Douglas, who won the title against Mike Tyson, ended up being inserted as the referee or the enforcer in this show. So again, Tyson's involvement in WWE goes way back. Well, he wasn't involved at this point, but would have been earlier than what happened in the Attitude Era, of course, 1998, WrestleMania 14. So anyway, so if you can find guys find the what is it here real quick because I'm still scrambling here. It is on Saturday Main Event on Peacock. It is season 6, episode 2 on the Peacock. So you guys need to pause this podcast to set up. We're doing the entire episode. It's only 48 minutes and 43 seconds. Otherwise, we're ready to go. We get this party started. You guys ready to go?
Ready, man.
We're going to run a commentary in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And there is the Macho King, the greatest king in the history of professional wrestling.
I think.
I read today. Oh, by the way, Rob, go ahead.
He's the greatest king.
Yeah. Who's better?
I think Jerry might have something to say about
Who
that.
played his role? No, Macho played a role better than he did.
No. Okay, you had to watch Jerry in Memphis now. Come on now. Yeah.
This is Macho King Randy Savage, former WWE champion at this point, buddy.
Okay, no, Jerry King Lawler in Memphis is untouched. Okay.
No, Lawler's amazing. I get that.
Is that Pete Rose or no?
No. It looks like Pete Rose for real, doesn't it? From the side, it did. It looked like it's his manager. Actually, it's Buster's manager, actual manager.
Oh, okay.
There's Hogan all roided up. Real American beer.
Oh, yeah.
You hear a story about Hogan making people cry in New York for not
Yeah, he didn't stick around for the meet and greet or something like that.
Oh, good grief.
Yeah. Well, so when according to Jim Cornette, I listened to the Cornette episode a couple weeks back about what happened. Supposedly, there was a limit of 200 people to be on for the meet and greet, and apparently, they got down to like 180. But apparently, also there was another engagement Hogan had to go to, and they were late for, so they decided just to run off. Bad luck stuff. Wow. Bad luck, but nonetheless.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny you talk about that Buster Douglas thing. I don't think you had to be alive during that time to understand how huge that moment was when Buster Douglas beat Mike Tyson. Because this was Mike Tyson at peak. Like this wasn't washed up Mike Tyson. The dude was at the peak of his game, and all of a sudden, But this was such huge news that made my 1990 yearbook. That news article, they put it in the yearbook. That's how big the news was.
It was huge. I remember. So the fight was done on a Saturday, but it was in Japan, so they're hours ahead of us. Yeah. I find out Sunday morning at 9 years old because I watched boxing back then too, also I knew what was going on. I find out Sunday morning that he lost the title to who? Who the fuck is Buster?
Exactly. That we all said the same thing. To who?
Oh, because see now,
yeah.
I watched it with my dad and I watched it together. We used to always watch the fights together. And we'd actually seen Buster fight before. Buster was a good fighter. And
see, I knew nothing about him.
Yeah, we had seen him fight before. So he was a good fighter, and we were just watching the whole time. And then, I mean, he did what he's supposed to do because Mike always had the reach disadvantage because he was short and he had short arms.
You're short and small, right?
Yeah, but people, so you just and Buster was tall and had long arms. So you just jab him, keep him away from you, and you just keep him at arm's reach. Just keep jabbing him. Buster did that the whole fight, except for one time he slipped, knocked him down, and we thought that might have been it, but he got up. And then after that, he just went after Mike after that and just finished him off. And I mean, that was if you didn't get scared or you didn't do something stupid. Mike was, it was a pretty easy playbook with Tyson. Once you figured him out, if you were taller and had a reach, you just jab him to death. And that's what Buster did, and he did it. Buster did that. Did it.
Yeah. Boy, I love this promo by Savage.
What is Savage goes into wearing, man? Nice. That crown is amazing.
Yeah. Is it that greatest king, Rob? See.
Okay, Jerry ran him out of the territory. Okay.
I know. You're not lying. You're not lying, brother. You're not lying.
No, I mean, if you can ever see some of the, there's some stuff on YouTube, but that was one of the great territory feuds from back in the day.
Yes. Oh, I remember that. You can argue that feud probably got Savage into WWE in the first place.
Oh yeah, more than likely, yeah. And I think Savage, he was either managed by Jimmy Hart or Jim Cornette managed him back there in Memphis. I forget what.
Sherry's so good.
She really
in hindsight now, if I now 10-year-old me, of course, like, oh, Sherry, this is ugly. This is she's like the makeup on. Come on, Elizabeth's more prettier. In hindsight, this is totally my type.
Yeah.
Give me Sherry any day of the week. Any day of the week. Let's go. Go.
Yeah, look, for me, Sherry is a top 5 manager to me.
I don't blame you. You know why? Yeah. Because look how many guys she got over. Like not that Sherry didn't get over, but to go from Liz to Sherry and to make that work. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And then of course Shawn Michaels, DiBiase, Harlem Heat.
Yeah.
She made everybody better.
Yeah, and
she
then
really did.
She did.
She was great at interfering, and she took bumps.
She understood the psychology.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I heard she was a fucking nice lady too. Such a nice. No one has a bad word to say about her. Nobody.
You never hear a bad word about Sherry Martel.
No, and I mean Booker and Stevie loved her like she was their sister. I mean, for real.
Yep.
Like a Savage. Now, this is actually the final match in their feud dating back to WrestleMania 5.
Yeah. And so this is one of the reasons I was kind of done with Hogan at this point because he'd already beaten Randy like a drum.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, we really got to do this again.
Well, you know why, though? Because, again, the bookings, superhero, got to protect him until they get to Warrior. Got to stay strong because Warrior's next guy. And then, I get it. Look at the way he's booked, of course. But we were talking about this on the podcast, Rob, last time when we did the retro. Would you have rebooked WrestleMania 5? Would you have Savage win and then have Hogan take the title later on as opposed to? But back then, you're not doing that shit. Back then, you're not booking that way. There's a clear good guy, clear bad guy. Vince had a formula. We're going with the good guy, and that's it.
But at this point, I kind of felt bad because I had gotten a little smartened up to think at this point, and so I felt like this was overkill because like I said, I knew no way he was going to win, and so I kind of thought this was getting to the point of overkill.
Well, to your point, go ahead, DJ, go ahead.
I'm just saying I was in a weird place with my fandom because I had reached the end of my rope with Hulk Hogan. Like, I didn't dislike him, but I was ready for something fresh, ready for something new in a couple of years. Yeah, I was starting to reach the end of it. But by 91, 92, I was starting to check out on WWE anyway for a little while. Just because I was 17 going on 18. I'm getting to be too cool for school. I don't want to watch this stuff right now. So to me, Hulk Hogan was still appealing to the little kids. And, at this point, I'm a 15, 16-year-old guy going to be 17 this year in 1990. I need somebody for me. And Hulk Hogan wasn't for me. And I was actually starting to lean more into watching WCW because the programming just felt a little more mature. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. And I got to tell you, if I was your age at the time, I may feel the same way too, because think about it. One of the reasons why I love the WWE back then, especially, was Jesse Ventura. Jesse's gone by July this year.
Yeah.
And where's he go? WCW. There's a good chance that WCW has my eyeballs by 91 because he's involved there. WWE is starting to get a little cookie cutter, a little bit too, okay, meh. All right, a little tired of Hogan. I can understand that. No, but me at 9 years old, 10 years old, I'm not tired of Hogan yet. This is still Hogan for me. For me.
Yeah, there's almost a 10-year age difference between you and I, so that makes perfect sense.
Well, no, not really. Not big. I'll be 45 in May.
Oh, okay. So I'll be 52.
Years.
I'll be 52 in September.
Okay, so, I'll be 51 in May. So
yeah,
I mean, if you were me and DJ's age at this point, because we were both starting to get a little more smarter to what was going on, and so we were getting a little too old for this, we thought, and
to be honest with you, it took me a while. It took me a while to smart to the business. It took me to be an adult, to be honest with you, because even in the junior attitude era when I was like pretty much 17, 19 years old, because I always looked at wrestling as I always looked at it as the art itself. I didn't look in like the dirt sheets and all that stuff. I didn't care about all that shit. I just wanted to watch what I was presented, and that was it. And so I didn't smart to the business until probably into my 20s. To like really, I knew it was fake, obviously. I knew it was scripted and all that, but I didn't really. To me, I just separated the two. Once still in my 20s, I realized, oh, okay, this is okay. I get it now.
Buster Douglas.
There's Buster Douglas there. Right. Yeah.
So,
he's still alive, isn't he?
I don't know.
As far as I know,
I'm checking. I'm checking right
now. Somebody have to look that up. Yeah. It's for me. My wrestling fandom kind of went through a weird phase. Like I said, from now until about 93, 94, I kind of poked my head in and out, but I wasn't really seriously watching it because like I said, I went through a weird party phase from like 18 to about 21 where I didn't watch a whole lot. I was chasing girls and, running the streets and doing whatever. And then when I hooked up with people that I've been friends with ever since, they were big wrestling fans and they kind of dragged me back into it. And, I was in it until dragged me back into it, man. And
you can't leave this shit, brother.
You can't leave it. It's always going to be this. Jason described wrestling fandom and more specifically WWE as like a train station. Some people get on, some people get off, some people get back on, some people never get back on. It's just it's a constant cycle of on and off with the fandom, and I've been on and off since I was a kid. But yeah, it's. At this point, I was definitely not over WWE, but I felt like I was a little too grown for WWE.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was kind of the same. Yeah, I was kind of that way. And actually, this was, so I was a sophomore. Yeah, and so I was finishing up my first season on the wrestling team at this point.
Yeah.
And man, that was, it was fun, but man, Look, don't let anybody tell you it's easy.
No, I did one season of wrestling in high school, man.
Is that a MAGA hat? No, I'm joking.
No, I wrestled one season, Rob. It was not easy. Like I got my ass kicked. I was the job guy for the wrestling squad.
I was pretty much too. I mean, I was, I got to the point where I was really good in practice.
Yeah.
I mean, and man, because just like learning how to, there's just some unnatural ways, you had to learn how to move, and I mean, and if you're not like a really, well, even if you are a good athlete, because like the first week of practice, like we'd have guys from the football team in there, and then after the first week of practice, they wouldn't be there anymore.
Yeah, we had a couple of those.
Yeah, but I mean, it was like again, there were just unnatural ways you had to learn how to move.
And that stance when you're on the ground, you got one guy on all fours and the other one takes the I forget what they call it all. Was that not the most awkward shit ever?
Oh yeah, and
you got to put your hand on their navel and it's just weird, man.
Yeah, and then because man, it took me forever just learning how to do just like a single leg takedown, because you have to pivot your knees and like not bend. You don't. Your instinctive way of doing it is to bend over and then kind of dive in. But the worst thing you can do is bend over and put your head by your knees, because they'll just wrap you up and pin you.
That's it.
Yeah. So you have to learn how to like pivot downward with your knees and then go in. It was just the weirdest thing.
So I'm checking this match out. It's starting off pretty solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Solid. I mean, Savage and Hogan know what they're doing. They do this for years. Check this out though. So back to Buster Douglas here. So that fight against Tyson, he was a 42-1 underdog. Okay, number one. Number two, his mom died of a stroke 23 days prior to the match. He promised his mom he'd beat Tyson before she passed away. Oh my God.
That's craziness.
Talk about divine intervention.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Because I remember he said like in the post-fight interview. I mean, he's and he said like he carried her into the ring with her that night. I mean, so yeah,
sure did.
Yeah, he was. I mean, that was I mean, that was like like I said, he was a good fighter. He was a good heavyweight fighter.
Yeah.
And my dad used to always say, "Look, heavyweights, all you need is one shot."
Yeah.
Like you don't have to beat somebody up for 12 rounds. Heavyweight, all you need is one good shot, and it's over.
Mm-hmm. And Savage is so rude. Always pointing at somebody.
Yeah. So
and there's Sherry. God, what a bump.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
I love her.
Yeah, because I mean, she was just totally unafraid to do that too.
Yeah.
And she took them in the ways that the baby face didn't look like some type of bully for knocking her down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because she kind of deserved it too, though, because she was was involved.
Oh yeah, because she would literally jump in the ring and jump on people's back and and all of that. I mean,
oh yeah, she clawed.
She set herself up
back
for it.
And as it says, we're live. This was live.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, these two are at the top of their game here. Like, I've been watching this, and this is a good, snug match.
Yeah.
The crowd is hot. Yep. Both these guys are on. Like, this is good stuff.
So on Hogan. Hogan was a great worker.
Yeah, I know we probably beat that conversation to death, but I won't. Like I said, we can hate the guy all we want, but when it comes time for the work to start, the guy knew what he was doing in there.
Like I said, WrestleMania 3, WrestleMania 6 are examples of that.
Yep.
I mean, look, 3, Andre could barely move. Hogan made that believable. WrestleMania 6, Warrior is just not a great worker. When you put him with the right guys, they can make something out of that.
Yeah.
Would you say Hogan's best feud was Savage?
Undoubtedly.
Oh, without a question.
Close second would be DiBiase, but Savage, he just got more juice with Savage than DiBiase.
Yeah.
Because DiBiase was a great heel. I would venture to say that Savage was Hogan's equal. I don't ever feel like DiBiase was Hogan's equal, even as a heel.
No. Yeah. Well, you maybe have a good point there too, because obviously Savage and Hogan has a story to tell there too. So not just in the ring, but also the Mega Power story and whatnot. Savage was a clear number 2 at the company for a good 3-4 years, But yeah, when they worked, they were cooking. I feel like I've always said though, I felt like there was some more meat on the bone after the Mega Power exploded. Yeah, they wanted to go into the Zeus thing, and that was okay for a little bit. If you're a 9-year-old like I was back then, the Zeus thing was fine. You guys might find that shit corny, though, at that point in your lives.
I did, but it was fine. Like I said, I didn't hate it, but it was definitely one of those things where I'm watching this like, okay, what are we doing? This Zeus guy is obviously not a wrestler.
Yeah, it was terrible. Look at Sherry, my God.
She's so violent.
She is. And look at Buster.
I love that Buster committed to this.
Yeah.
Out.
You're out of here. Goodbye, Sherry. So the celebrity
is that Dave Hebner?
And one of the Hebners. The celebrity stuff always works better when the celebrity just commits to it.
Oh yeah, you got to.
Yep. Could you imagine Mike Tyson in this role though? Like, I mean, obviously he did it 8 years later, but in this match, I don't know.
Yeah. I can't say he would have done it better.
Oh yeah, well at that point, Mike was coked up out of his mind. I mean,
Mike was on another planet about this time in life.
Yeah, because one of the reasons he lost to Buster because he wasn't taking his training seriously and all that anymore. He was living the high life pretty much.
I heard that a lot of people viewed that match for Tyson as like a training a lead up to Holyfield.
Oh well, he was because he was supposed to beat Buster, and then I think Holyfield would have been next,
right?
And then of course, and that didn't he lost to Buster, and then when they were trying to get things back together, that's when he went to jail.
Mm-hmm.
And when Don King, Don King makes McMahon look like a saint. Okay,
I was about to say Don King is everything everybody says Vince McMahon is.
Because at least Vince paid you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, Don had his whole family on Mike's payroll, and while Mike was in jail, and also, he set up Mike with his defense attorney when he was on trial, and he got him a tax attorney for defense in a rape case. He got him a tax attorney.
Jesus Christ.
That's what the story was. Anyway,
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I mean the story was that he got him a tax attorney to defend him in a rape case, and then of course Mike got convicted.
And I'm not excusing anything Mike may or may not have done, but that guy was such a victim of so many people taking advantage of him.
Yep.
I've always felt horribly for Mike Tyson. And how oblivious he was to how bad he was being used.
From Don King on.
Yes. There were so many Klingons and hanger-oners and people that just sucked that kid dry, and I always felt horrible for him.
Yeah. Yeah, because the guys who actually cared about him, they Custom Model died early, and then there were a couple other guys that were Custom Model's boys, and they looked after Mike. But unfortunately, they all passed away, and then Mike was left with Don. And
brother,
yeah. You always bother me too. Also about this match, look at the Buster again to get in the way. Yeah. You know what bothers me in this match though sometimes. So Hogan Warrior was already confirmed at this point.
Yeah.
And that's you mean to tell me? So if you're gonna get Hogan Warrior, why is the title on the line? You mean to tell me if Savage won this match? That we're gonna get Savage and Warrior at 6 as opposed to Hogan and Warrior. Like, what are we doing here?
And see, that's kind of one. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that had me kind of just done with Hogan at this point because like I knew I knew everybody knew that this was just
No, here it is. Here comes the Hulk up. He's kicked out of the elbow.
But wait, Savage
always had great working punches.
Yeah, he's fantastic. The guy was amazing. He might be the greatest complete wrestler in the history of WWE because think about it. Where's his flaw? He's great in the ring. He's great on the stick. He had anything you asked for, he did it for you.
He had I would love to dream match, dream booking, fantasy booking, peak Randy Savage versus peak Randy Orton.
Oh yeah, that would be something else.
That would have been incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, seeing Randy go for the elbow and then Orton getting the RKO out of the elbow, that would man.
Oh, we've got a ref bump. We've got a Hebner down. I'm surprised Hogan is trusting a Hebner on a main event show.
And
Savage kicked out. And here's the thing: Savage kicked out.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yep,
this is bullshit.
He did.
So when I guess now they're doing that to set up, the
end here.
Yeah, this is their get out of jail free card. Randy can lose without losing.
Right.
And then also, and it's also good. He has to, because you don't have Buster in there and not have him get into it with somebody. So
yeah.
And this is I mean the 3 count was there's your reason for.
Look at Hogan instigator.
Yeah.
Making him fight.
He is.
What a dick.
Yeah.
Look at Hogan. What a dick. I love this shit. Look, watch this. This is I love this shit.
Yeah.
3, brother. Growing up, I was always Hogan 1, Savage 2. Growing up as a kid, that's changed. Obviously, I'm a Savage mark now. Number 1.
Yeah.
What a bullet too.
Maturity tells us Randy Savage was the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking instigator. Watch this shit. This is great. You.
Yeah.
So rude. Look at him.
The Savage is eating
I'll break it half.
I'll break it half.
And what Savage? What Savage? Come on. Peekaboo. I am right now sports entertained.
Oh yeah, this is fun. Like looking back at it now, I can enjoy this much more than I did even back then.
Yeah.
This is great. Watch this shit.
Oh, and he slapped him.
Uh-oh.
And he trolls and wasn't. And he goes in a fucking rope and like.
Hogan's telling him, get a piece of him, man. Get a piece.
Peekaboo again. Hogan's a bitch, man. He's like sitting there like instigating the shit.
Yeah.
Savage is so good here.
He's so good this shit. This reminds me of the so think about this actually. I just thought about this actually. This is literally the Shawn Michaels Mike Tyson spot from Mania 14.
It is.
This is better though. This is better.
I agree.
It is. They're milking this one.
Yeah,
Oh,
see the hit?
Yeah.
he did. He got him, and then he had to get him again.
I just realized that this is almost the same spot as Michaels and Tyson. This was better, I think, actually, because Savage drew it out nice. So yeah, we confirmed. Mr. Buster Douglas was a card-carrying Hulkamaniac. So Hogan remains champion for another 5 weeks. Yeah, I can understand being tired of Hogan at this point now. I can understand it. Like most people who are sort of to the business at this point, I 1990 was probably okay. We are okay, and I think also combination of Warrior being able to come up to us on top of that made it much more. I do think, though, to Hogan's credit, though, he found cool ways to add sympathy. So Yeah, you're tired of Hogan now, but then the earthquake thing makes him sympathetic again. And you know what I mean?
I was a bigger fan once Hogan lost the belt. Like once moved on from Hulk Hogan, because like that, whoa, man, he almost took Savage's nose off with that first punch. Yeah. Wow,
he didn't hit him, did he?
It did miss it by much. He paintbrushed him.
Good job, Buster. Good job.
But I was a big fan of that year between when Savage won at WrestleMania 4, from WrestleMania 4 to WrestleMania 5. That was a great run by Hogan.
Oh, I love that run. It's actually my favorite Hogan year.
Yeah.
Ever. That's the next guy.
I'll be polite. Look at the caffeine running through this guy's veins.
Caffeine. Wink, wink, nyuk, nyuk.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. That's right.
Yeah.
I was such a mark for this guy, though. I was Team Warrior for the next 4 weeks.
I don't blame you, dude.
Such a mark.
I don't blame you. I was a Hogan guy, though. I cried when Hogan lost the Warrior. I did.
Nah, dude. The closing seconds of that match when Hogan started. I remember I was watching it with my dad and my brother, and my mom was wandering around the house. And I remember when Hogan started to Hulk up, I got so pissed off. I looked at my dad. I said, "Look at this crap. It's another stupid Hogan victory." And my dad just looks at me. He's like, "Well," I was like, "I knew this was going to happen." And Dad's like, "Well, then why'd you ask me to order this stupid thing?" I was like, "If you knew how it was going to end, why did you bother even ordering it?" And then all of a sudden the Warrior won. And I was like, what the hell? It was the greatest moment of my life at that time.
Well, right. Well, Rob said the same thing too also on the Retropod last week. We were talking about that. We were watching the match, and he made a mention about like when Hogan started hulking up, that he's like, "Oh no, here we go again." That's why the reason why that match is so great is because there was so many swerves there that happened that you didn't expect. And I'll ask you this then, DJs, because you were on that podcast. Because you've seen a match, I'm sure many times.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. Where would you rank that match among WrestleMania main events? Top 10, top 15, what? Top 5? I don't know.
Being objective as far as importance of the time, it's a top 10.
Yeah.
Because it was the first babyface versus babyface, champion versus champion match. And it was important. Like it really was, especially during that time period.
Yeah, I'd say I think top 10. The only reason it's kind of lost any significance just because of the aftermath.
Correct.
Champ didn't go over great.
Correct. I feel like if Warrior had a better reign, that match still looked as a big match. But can you imagine if Warrior had a better title reign after that? How much bigger that match is? Because the moment is still great. The moment's still huge. We all know that. We lived it. You know what I'm saying? But if Warrior's reign after that was actually relatively better than it was in 90, that match looked like even a bigger deal.
No, absolutely. I completely agree on that. And I don't know. There's some different people will say different things as to why that reign fell apart. Who knows? I think some of it was just the Warrior and how he acted. And there's a lot. And he really was not, like I said, as big a mark as I was, he was not a great in-ring worker. And while we always say the moves don't matter until they do. And when it's very obvious to the naked eye and the untrained eye that you're being carried through your matches, even the most casual of casual are going to turn on you.
Well, look at that. Rob made a good point on that same episode last week. And granted, there's a couple of things that happened there. Number one, the business was on the downturn now at this point. It started on the downturn.
Yes.
So that didn't help, number one. But it's one thing when you're like one of the guys, mid-carder or the higher mid-carders, the stuff you do, you can get away with. When you're the main guy, the guy running the company, Rob made a point that it's a little more noticeable now, and it's not as tolerant as where say you're below the main guy.
Yeah.
So, and I agree with that, because and this is also once again, yes, we can hate Hulk Hogan all you want, but people love working Hogan because people made money with Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big difference. You make money with Warrior the same way. You made money with Savage because Savage was doing the same thing. But with Hogan, you made money. That's all that matters. So Warrior at the end of the day was a better number 2 than number 1.
And he also proved the point of there's an old adage in the business, the money's in the chase.
Correct.
And that's really where it was. The money with the Ultimate Warrior was in the build. After the payoff, though, there was nothing. Like, there was really nothing there. The only real suitable contender that he could wrestle, he'd already wrestled in Rick Rude.
Correct. And Rude left the company after that too also.
Right. So, for whatever reason, it never happened with him and Mr. Perfect. Savage and him had a great feud, but it wasn't for the world title the way it should have been.
Mm-hmm.
So some of it was just him. Some of it was lack of real believable competition that could work well with him.
Yeah. And he was
nice power slam though.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
He really did have a good power slam. If the person could take it, Warrior had an awesome power slam.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that though. Like, and the thing is that you talk about the chase, for example. Well, back then too, especially, the money was, I guess the money was in holding the title, because back then the way Vince booked things back then, if you had the title, you were the guy, you made most money. I think obviously the chase becomes more important. I think obviously today, but I would say that became more prominent probably in the Attitude Era. Like what I've always said for years, Stone Cold Steve Austin, I will still say is the biggest superstar in the history of the company. I think that's questionable at this point. Biggest superstar, high the powers.
Yeah.
But Stone Cold Steve Austin also does not have a memorable title reign, because a lot of his biggest moments were in the chasing the title.
Well, yeah, and that's because it really depends on the character. Like Dusty Rhodes is better. Well, his character was meant to be chasing.
Yeah.
Dusty Rhodes being the world champion didn't, just wasn't something that made a lot of sense.
He was a grinder.
Yeah, exactly. He was one of us, right? And
Jimmy Hart.
What's going on?
I'm sorry. I love Jimmy Hart, dude. I think he's so
I do too.
As big as he is, and look, he gets his props, obviously. I think he's still underrated.
Oh, I think that's fair, because I think he wasn't taken as seriously. Because I think he didn't do like the really vile stuff like Cornette did vile, disgusting things, and sort of right. I think Jimmy didn't do that so much.
I think there's an argument to be made that if you all agree all time WWE managers, and I go 1A, 1B, Heenan, Heyman, right? I think right after that, it's Jimmy Hart. I think Jimmy Hart's right below him.
If we're just doing talking about WWE managers,
correct? Yes.
I'd say my top 5 would be Heenan, Heyman, Sherry, and Jimmy would be in the top 5 for sure.
Yeah. Number 5, I'll be biased and put Slick in there because I'm biased.
Well, yeah. Now, but if we're going to talk about managers who
did stuff,
who got their people to win stuff, then
Fuji has because
Fuji and Slick are 5A and B.
Yeah,
and
they really are.
I'd give the nod to Fuji because this guy, he got Demolition, the tag team championship, and he got Yokozuna,
the world title.
But I'll just Slick this though. Slick ever manage a champion?
No.
I was about to say, I don't ever remember Slick ever managing a champion. And I think some of my love of Slick may have just been because I love the character. I thought the dude was amazing. My God. He was just on all the time.
And I gotta tell you too, also with Slick, like I know we talk about him a lot on this podcast, and we always do these things. He got guys over. He got guys that we would never care about if it wasn't for him being attached to them.
Right.
Like Akeem and Bossman does not work without anybody else.
Oh yeah.
No. Akeem doesn't even get out of the gate without Slick there.
Right.
Yeah.
And one man game too, for that matter.
Yeah.
This match is
The
terrible.
Warrior. Yeah, I look at the Warrior, and I think of Sting, and Sting had a similar Sting obviously has a better wrestling library than the Warrior, and obviously a much deeper one because he actually stuck around. But it was the same type of thing. Sting, the money was always in the chase.
Of course.
Like Sting's world title reigns are largely forgettable. He had some good matches with some good people, but it was always like short-lived. And they were back to either Flair or on to trying to find the next guy.
Right.
And also, I think, Sting was lucky. He was lucky because he got to work with guys who were interested in teaching him how to work and how to be good. And I think the WWF locker room, I think, was more of a shark-infested place at this time.
Well, and into the defense of that locker room, Sting was willing to learn. I think the Warrior hit a point where he's like, I've learned enough and I don't want to hear anything else from anybody. I think had the Warrior continued to learn and pay attention, he could have been incredible because all the tools were there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like everything was there. The fundamentals were there. The look was there. If he had the character, he had everything else. If he had paid attention to the veterans and learned how to work, and if somebody had, to Rob's point, been willing to teach him a bit more, and him allow the cup to be filled, we could have been having much different discussions about the Ultimate Warrior as a professional wrestler.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because like those guys, those NWA guys like Rick and Arn, like if you're willing to listen and they thought you were good and you were willing to listen, they would give you everything.
Yeah.
Because Sting's even talked about how they they would, some of those matches, they would literally just tell him everything to do.
Yep. Like a Hogan hot dog for Warrior there.
You're right. Well, because guys like Flair understood, it's like, look, I can't draw money if I don't have a believable opponent.
Yeah.
I need you to be good so that I look good. And then we draw the money. And a lot of guys just never got that. Ric Flair, I think, got that more than anybody. That's why he made so many people.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so that's Danny Davis, by the way. Banned. Yep. He was supposed to be banned from wrestling, remember? Oh, yeah. Got his job back like 2 years later. Come on, Vince.
Well, Hogan's also trusting a Hebner to referee him. So
for real, thank you. Thank you. Literally exactly 2 years before this event, main event number 1, he took the money.
Yeah.
Plastic surgeon.
And now Hogan's out here allowing him to referee a match. This is one of those things where you just gotta grin and bear it.
Yeah.
Vince, the long-term storytelling back then, you missed some spots, Vince. Speaking of Vince.
That's good stuff.
That was great stuff. So now they're building up the Warrior Hogan thing here now.
Yeah, this is Rumble.
So remember, we covered this, DJ, last time you were on here.
It still makes me sick that I didn't go to this. They were literally in Orlando and I didn't go.
Yeah, I know.
Ugh.
And you're old enough to appreciate it. Yeah.
Yep.
I wish I had been able to afford going to matches these shows back then. I never fathomed I was able to go to these shows because I was poor. I didn't have the money.
Yeah.
It was TV or
we
bust,
went to
right?
house shows. Like we went to a few house shows. They had some house shows here in Orlando that we went to, and there was one other place that my dad took me to one time for a house show. But we never did any of the big TV thing, like the pay-per-views whenever they were in town and TV tapings. We never did that.
Yeah, at least you got that. I didn't have any of that. I couldn't even fathom going to house shows. In fact, I didn't know what a house show was at 10 years old.
Yeah, no, we saw some great house shows. We went to like 3 or 4 house shows when I was a kid. House shows are fun, man. I'd almost rather go to a house show than a premium live event or pay-per-view or TV taping.
Well, knowing what I know now, I mean, house shows are actually incredible. Especially even today.
Yeah, they're much more fun than, because TV is such a crapshoot. If you happen to be in there for an episode where some stuff happens, then going to TV can be fun. It can be really good. But if it's just a kind of a just quote unquote normal episode where nothing big really happens, And man, it's a slog.
I honestly, I went to Raw in August last year. It was kind of boring. I ain't gonna lie to you.
That was like the SmackDown my daughter and I went to a few years ago. It was fine. It was during Liv Morgan's first championship run, and I forget who the world champ was at the time, but it was fine. It's about all I'll say about it.
Yeah.
That was Hogan.
It was an accident, brother. I know Rob and I touched on this in the WrestleMania episode too. Also, there have been there have been rumors for years later that internally that they were considering moving Hogan to heel at this point.
Yeah.
Could you imagine Hogan turning? Could you imagine now? Does Hogan turn before Mania 6, after Mania 6, or I don't know how? If you were to turn Hogan heel, how would you book it? Would you do it like before Mania?
Probably before. If you really want to, if their intention was to get the Warrior over as the next babyface, you do it before.
I think I might have done it during the match.
You think?
Yeah, I mean, if you were going to turn, yeah, I mean, because because he was champ, out at him, maybe turn and then cheat to win.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Now I don't know if that was actually real. I know I've heard rumors about that. I know Pritchard had said he would like to have done that in '90. I don't know if he's having religious history or he was going based of like knowing that he did that 6 years later and like I don't know. To be honest with you, it's actually a good thing they didn't do that because had they turned Hogan heel and Warrior has the flop that he had, the proceed, then you don't have now who's your next. Hogan's you can't Hogan back to a face like within a year. Who's your next guy?
Well, here's the thing though, and I think I talked earlier about the Warrior needing good competition. I think if you drag that feud out and then the Warriors battling Hogan for a couple more months, I think you can get the Warrior over bigger on a heel Hulk Hogan. But you've got to lean all the way in like you did Slaughter with the Iraq thing. Like Hogan's got to be atrocious. He's got to be so atrocious that it's almost unredeemable so that the Warrior comes out looking like the hero. Were they willing to go that far with Hogan would be the question.
Could you imagine Hogan doing the Slaughter role?
Slaughter's disposable. You can turn him just as violently heel as you want, and somewhere down the road you turn it back. With Hogan, it's a bit different.
Yeah, because once sometimes there's no turning back, at least for a while anyway.
Right.
And
that's why I think his heel turn with the NWO was the perfect time to do that for him.
Yeah. New company, real, not heat, but people were noticeably tired of Hogan at this point. And like in '90, it was like, okay, yeah, some people are tired of it, but the kids love him still. I'm a kid back then, so you still get away with it. And then you had the earthquake thing, and in their defense too, also, if Hogan turns heel and Warrior flops, you don't have the insurance policy Hogan to go back to running the company again, which happened in '91.
Right.
You don't have that because here's the problem. Savage the heel still at that point. You know what I mean? That would be the other guy you consider, but he's a heel still at that point. He was a Dashley heel at this point. So
yeah,
I mean,
and Vince wasn't even looking at guys like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels yet.
Nope.
The Undertaker's not a thing yet.
Right.
Bret and Shawn are still 3 years away from Vince even giving them a glance beyond the tag team ranks.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's nobody. If the Warrior flops and Hogan's heel, you're right. What do you do?
People say Warrior did bad promos. I disagree with that, actually.
I don't think he did bad promos at all.
No, I think his promos were based on the character.
Yes.
They were incoherent.
Look, like this one, for example. Perfect promo. You're questioning.
But they did. They fit the character. He wasn't supposed to make sense. He was supposed to be this crazed maniac.
Parts unknown.
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan.
It's just that, it didn't translate as well when he was the world champion. He had to be the guy making all the public appearances and everything.
Yeah.
Was it me or was this character toned down when he had the world title? I feel like he toned down that character just a little bit.
They did for all the reasons Rob just said. You're the face of the company now. We have to be able to put you out on, what is it? The Tonight Show.
Regis Kathy.
We have to be able to put you on other TV shows here, pal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just
you can't be snorting and snarling.
Yeah. See, Savage could do it.
Kathy show.
See, Savage could do it back then because Savage had Liz to keep him level.
Because I think I don't know if Undertaker was on Mike Tyson's podcast or vice versa, but they were talking about the Warrior, and and Mike was just like, he was on the drugs, wasn't he? and Taker doesn't bury anybody. He doesn't bury any of the boys, so he was just kind of like, well, yeah, he might have been a little medicated.
Yeah, I think I saw that clip actually. I think I saw that clip actually.
Yeah,
I think I saw that clip.
Like, and look. I mean, yeah, God, look, Taker. He does. Yeah, he will do anything he can to not bury any of the boys.
He protects the boys.
Yeah, and he played it off as best as he could.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike is just no filter. Mike is just
my boy Vince, and my boy I said Jesse actually. Jesse,
yeah. And that's a wrap on that one.
That's a wrap on that one. All right, that's a good one. So, all right, guys, what you guys final thoughts on the main event from 1990? And look at Savage here. Look at Savage.
Oh, well, he's still.
What a trooper! What a trooper though, man. Seriously, he played any role you need him to do, he does it for you, and he does it to the best.
Yeah. That match was much better than I remembered it being.
What, Savage and Hogan?
Yeah.
Of course it was. Yeah. I would argue better than Mania 5, actually. I would argue that.
It wasn't as long, but it was tighter. It was faster.
Yeah.
It was more. It seemed more action packed.
I think Savage also was hurt in Mania 5 because he had that little burst thing in his elbow.
Yeah.
So he was kind of hurt. It was still don't get me wrong. Mania 5 was still a good match. Obviously you had Liz there, especially too, also added to the attraction. But as a wrestling match, I think this match was better.
This is one of those things where really good artists can tell a really good story in a short amount of time.
Right.
Yeah.
And and we talk about that because we joke about Rob because Rob doesn't like Matt. Anything over to 20 minutes and Rob checks out. We joke about this on the Mindless Wrestling podcast all the time.
Really?
I think, he's not a big fan of over 20-minute matches.
So Iron Man match, not a fan, huh? Iron Man match.
No, look, now I'll check back in at the end. No, look, if you go an hour,
basketball fan.
If you go an hour, if you go an hour, I'm probably nodding off around 25 minutes, and then I'll come back in when there's 10 minutes left. Okay.
No, I do believe you. No, I do believe you when you nap during Raw and wake up again later on the show.
Yeah, I mean, just it is what it is, man. I accept it.
If you're in the business, okay, and you're not on a big show and you're not guaranteed any time slot, you say you're at an indie show.
Yeah.
A really good professional wrestler will make the following scenario work. You show up at the show and the promoter says, "Okay, brother, I'm going to give you 15 minutes." Then it gets close to your match time and somebody says, "Hey, look, man, we had to cut time. We're only giving you 10." Then as you're getting ready to go out, they tell you as you're going through the curtain, "Look, I'm sorry, we can only give you 5."
Right.
You got 5 and you need to be able to adjust. Bang, bang, bang. Okay, we've only got 7 minutes. What can we do in 7 minutes to keep the crowd hot? The best of professional wrestlers can go out there and do that. And Hogan and Savage did as much, if not more, in less time in this match tonight than they did at WrestleMania 5.
I can almost guarantee you, for example, to your point, that happened on Raw this past week because John Cena and Cody's promo. I'm sure they had it measured at maybe less than 26 minutes. It went longer than that.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's more important than a 4-way match because this is huge. This is building up to be the main event for WrestleMania 21. So I guarantee you they had some matches that either got cut short or got cut in general because of the promo.
Well, also in that vein, you talked about the Iron Man match, the Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart Iron Man match. Yeah. I think their matches for the Intercontinental Championship years before that were much better matches, and they were a third as long.
So this match from the main event with Hogan and Savage was 11 minutes.
Yep.
And
WrestleMania 18, I think. WrestleMania 18 minutes, I think, is for WrestleMania.
We're talking about a free match versus a match people paid for, and if you're paying for a match, you're going to put people out there for more than 11 minutes. If back then, what were pay-per-views? $50?
Back in 1990?
Back in 1990, $50 for 45, $50.
No, $30.
But still, I mean, $30 is $60 now, dude. Come on.
Oh, right, inflation, right? Inflation, of course.
Inflation. It's $60.
Oh, no. I agree with you on that. Yeah.
People paying that kind of money, you're not going to trot Hogan out there for 10 minutes and call it a night.
Yeah.
So you're giving people what they pay for.
Yeah. So the WrestleMania match was 17:54.
Yeah, 18 minutes.
Yeah, so 18 minutes. Yeah.
So I know, but I mean, I actually enjoy this match better than the Mania 5 match. Even though, and I say that as someone whose favorite WrestleMania is WrestleMania 5, actually, but because the actual brick and mortar work I felt was better. I actually thought Savage was still peak Savage in 1990 also too. He was still really good in the ring. So
he was.
And that character was so over. Macho King, so much heat. Loved it.
Yep.
So, all right, guys. Good job as always. Want to plug away?
Yeah. You can catch me, Rob, and Jason on the Mindless Wrestling Podcast. We air every Saturday on your favorite podcasting platforms, part of the Chairshot Radio Network. You can find me on the app formerly known Twitter at The Mindless Pod.
You mean a cesspool? No, it was formerly
Rob,
go ahead.
Show.
Yeah, I know. Go ahead, Rob.
Again, you can catch me with DJ and Jason, and then you can catch me on my own thing, the Rob Genius Podcast. Because I'm back in the saddle now, so we're going to be.
He's happy. Rob has been so happy. Last couple of weeks, he's been so happy because he got the his little
because I found the audio editor, WavePad, so I can start piecing stuff together again.
Is that what it's called? The WavePad?
WavePad. Yep.
Ooh, okay.
And I just downloaded it off of the from the App Store on my laptop.
That's amazing. Excellent, man.
Yeah, you can record pieces and just slot them in one after the other.
Yeah.
Put it all together.
You're such a beginner, Rob. I was joking. Guys, good job as always, man. Great show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
You got it, man.